The cherry blossoms fall across the temple garden of Ryonjai, 1450. A monk kneels before a cracked tea bowl, his hands trembling not from age but from revelation. The ceramic vessel split during firing, a flaw that should condemn it to dust. Instead, he traces the fracture line with liquid gold, transforming destruction into beauty. The master watches from the doorway, silent. This is not repair. This is rebirth. The philosophy that will be named Wabi-sabi is being born in that golden seam. The recognition that brokenness itself holds power. You think you understand change. You set resolutions until your calendar bleeds with commitments. You punish yourself at dawn while guilt whispers in your ear. You chase the phantom of perfection through app notifications and accountability partners. But what you call change is a child's fantasy compared to the wisdom Wabi-sabi offers. A wisdom so profound that even modern psychology is only beginning to grasp its depths. This is not change through force or denial. This is transformation that embraces the crack in your foundation and makes it your greatest strength. The monk did not hide the flaw, he illuminated it. Every stroke of gold was an acknowledgement that perfection was never the goal. When he finally lifted the bowl, he had not fixed a mistake. He had created something the unbroken vessel could never become. The crack was not a wound, it was an opening. Tonight, we descend into that same revelation. We will not glorify the ancient technique. We will excavate it. We will follow the path of a philosophy that turns imperfection into medicine, brokenness into wisdom, and failure into something the gods themselves would envy. This is the most terrifying level of self-transformation. And once you see it, your relationship with every bad habit will never be the same. What if the ultimate freedom is not to eliminate your flaws, but to stop pretending they make you less whole? Before we enter the temple garden, hit subscribe and ring the bell. The blossoms are falling. You will need to witness every petal. The philosophy that would become Wabi-sabi emerged from Sen no Rikyu, born in a merchant district that smelled of silk thread and ambition. His father, a prosperous trader, beat humility into him with contradictions until the child's mind bled questions. By 13, Rikyu had witnessed his first tea ceremony and felt something shatter inside. The perfection was suffocating, every movement calculated, every vessel flawless, reflecting a standard that didn't breathe. That night, Rikyu sat behind the warehouse, not from shame, but from the sudden, nauseating clarity that beauty was being murdered by its own rules. Someone had to break free. The question was, could anyone truly see beauty in the breaking? He fled the merchant path with borrowed books and a hunger he couldn't name. The Muromachi period swallowed him whole, temples where incense hung like gray ghosts, gardens where rocks spoke in silence, tea masters trading secrets like precious metals. In this refinement, authenticity was currency, and Rikyu spent his searching for what others discarded. He collected at 15, rough-hewn bowls rejected by kilns, asymmetrical vases that embarrassed their makers, watching craftsmen destroy imperfect work and wondering why humans built standards only to feed insecurity. The question gnawed at him like hunger in the bones. If nothing is perfect, what makes anything beautiful? By 20, he had studied 60 tea masters, none capturing what he sensed beneath ritual. His reputation grew, but so did the restlessness. Perfection tasted like death. He began to experiment. He used cracked bowls deliberately. He arranged flowers with stems broken. He brewed tea in vessels that leaked slowly, forcing guests to drink with urgency. Each imperfection was a question. How much can I reveal of reality's raw edge and still create transcendence? The world called him radical. He called it honesty. In 1580, after years of refinement, he vanished into the countryside of Sakai. For 3 years, no one understood him. Rumors spread. He had failed, he had lost his mind, he had abandoned beauty entirely. The truth was deeper. He lived in a hut with a roof that leaked during rain, gathering every cracked bowl, every scarred piece of wood. He watched water stains bloom on paper walls. He observed rust claiming iron kettles. He documented decay not as enemy, but as teacher. learning that time's touch was not destruction but collaboration. When he emerged, he named his philosophy Wabi-sabi. The merchant's son was dead. The seeing had begun. The tea ceremonies of Wabi-sabi are not performances. They are excavations written in steam and silence. Rikyu never intended them for spectacle. He created them for himself, to capture the lightning that struck him in leaking huts and cracked vessels. 7 principles, 1 unspoken truth. The scariest transformation is not the power to fix yourself, but the power to see that brokenness was never the problem. Kanso, he begins with simplicity as revelation. Most people treat complexity like intelligence. Rikyu treated it like noise. He measured every object, every gesture, every breath in the tea room. He discovered that the average person adds layers to hide their core. Rikyu stripped away until only essence remained. To train this, he spent 40 nights in an empty room with one object, a flower, a stone, a bowl, 1,000 hours, 1,000 perfect eliminations of distraction. The mind learned to see before the ego defended. Few can say asymmetry without apology. Here he reveals the terror. Balance is not symmetry and perfection is a cage. In one ceremony, he placed a twisted branch in a perfect vase. The vase shattered from the branch's weight. Guests gasped. Rikyu smiled and arranged the flowers among the shards. Beauty does not require protection. The flaw does not matter. The truth matters. He trained this by breaking one cherished object each month, learning to sit with the loss until grief became gratitude. When the tears stopped, he saw the world as perpetual becoming. Shizen, the naturalness of being. Rikyu writes, make your guests see the effort in trying to hide effort, then show them the peace in stopping. He cultivated an authenticity that made people weep before tea was poured. How he practiced on himself. Allowed tremors to shake his hands during ceremony. Let sweat bead on his forehead in summer heat. Did not hide age, fatigue, or uncertainty. Not for drama, for permission. The moment his students saw his humanity, they knew the exact microsecond when striving became suffering. He carried that timing into every gathering. Seijaku, the study of stillness. Rikyu dissected silence like a living thing. He sat in abandoned temples during thunderstorms. He listened to his own heartbeat in dark caves. Each session was data. He discovered that noise is a defense. Beneath every distraction is the same animal terror of being seen. He trained his students to sit with discomfort, to hold shame, to breathe through panic. Peace through presence, he wrote. The mind that stops running does not disappear. Datsuzoku, freedom from habit. Here, words fail. Rikyu describes it as the place where ritual dies and spontaneity births something more alive. He reached it once during a ceremony where he forgot the sequence entirely and served tea with his left hand in silence while rain drummed the roof. Guests later said it was the most perfect ceremony they had ever witnessed. He never repeated it. Some say he wept afterward. Others say he laughed until dawn. Freedom is not absence of form. It is the moment form becomes transparent and only being remains. No should, no must, no Rikyu. He ends his teaching with an invitation. Do not seek to copy my ceremonies. The beauty lives where you stand. But we are already steeping the tea. The practice of kintsugi was never about pottery. It was about the architecture of acceptance. Craftsmen had repaired ceramics for centuries, hiding cracks with invisible glues matching colors until the break disappeared. Rikyu saw this and understood. We repair objects the way we repair ourselves, with lies that the damage never happened. He commissioned a different method. Take broken pottery, clean each edge with care, mix lacquer with gold powder, fill every crack so it shines, make the repair more visible than the original surface. Let the object proclaim, I was broken. I am still here. I am more beautiful for it. The first kintsugi bowl was not elegant. The gold lines were thick, clumsy, honest. Tea masters laughed. Rikyu used it for his most important ceremony, serving the shogun Toyotomi Hideyoshi. As Hideyoshi lifted the bowl, gold-catching candlelight, Rikyu spoke. This vessel fell and shattered, like all of us. The break is not its shame. It is its story. Hideyoshi stared at the golden seams for 7 minutes. Then he ordered every tea bowl in his collection broken and repaired. On that day, the practice was born. Rikyu had not invented a technique. He had given permission to stop hiding. But the true revolution was after. Rikyu did not keep the bowl. He gifted it to a student struggling with alcoholism, a man whose hands shook from shame and withdrawal. Hold this when the craving comes. See that even shattered things can hold tea. The student kept the bowl for 40 years, long after Rikyu's death. In his final letter, he wrote, "The bowl taught me that my breaking was not the end. It was the place where light could enter." This is the level that transforms us, not the hiding, the revealing. The moment the self stops performing wholeness and starts living as honest fracture. Rikyu did not change people by making them perfect. He changed them by showing them their cracks were never the enemy. The shame was. The concealment was. The story that brokenness equals unworthiness was the only thing that needed repair. And in that repair, he found Wabi-sabi. The years after establishing Wabi-sabi were not triumph. They were deepening. Rikyu served the most powerful warlord in Japan, yet owned nothing but 7 tea bowls and a traveling mat. He refused honors, refused monuments, refused the story that wisdom made him special. He taught farmers to see beauty in work-worn hands, soldiers to find peace in scarred armor, merchants to value honesty over appearance. The man who once studied perfection now studied the perfect uselessness of trying to be more than human. No performance, no pretense. No identity beyond the breath happening now. At 70, he was ordered to commit seppuku by the very shogun he had served. Politics, jealousy, the old story of power fearing what it cannot control. Yet his death became his final teaching. He prepared the tea room himself, a single flower, a cracked bowl, incense from cheap wood. His last ceremony was for his students, and he served with hands that did not shake. Before the blade, he wrote a final poem on rice paper. "I raise the sword, this blade of mine, long in my possession. The time has come to head skyward." The room was silent until one student understood. He was not describing suicide. He was describing liberation from the belief that his life belonged to anyone else. The crack was not his death sentence. It was his freedom. The tea room stands empty now. The bowls are scattered in museums, but the wisdom remains. Rikyu's true revolution was never with pottery or ceremony or shogun politics. It was with the story that we must be unbroken to be acceptable. He shattered that story on purpose, and in shattering, he showed us the gold. The scariest level of transformation is not the power to fix your habits. It is the power to see that your habits were protecting a lie you mistook for survival. The rain begins as you close the tab, the video, the teaching. Somewhere in the building, a door clicks shut into silence. You sit in the half-light, pulse still echoing the sound of something inside you cracking open. The room feels different, the air lighter, filled with the residue of a question that changes everything. What part of me has been hiding from the gold? You do not need a tea ceremony. You do not need ancient pottery. The transformation is already here. The phone habit that owns your evenings, the food pattern that owns your shame, the mirror that owns your worth. Rikyu's wisdom was never the technique. It was the moment he realized every attempt to appear unbroken was the only thing keeping him from being whole. Start tonight, not with elimination, with illumination. Choose the habit that feels most shameful, the scroll, the binge, the avoidance, the lie you tell yourself. Do not fight it, befriend it. Set a timer for 5 minutes and perform the habit consciously. Scroll but notice every sensation, the thumb movement, the eye strain, the hollow feeling after. Eat but catalog every texture, the sweetness, the guilt, the moment satisfaction curdles. Speak the excuse aloud to an empty room and hear how it sounds when there's no one to convince. Watch the pattern rise like steam from Rikyu's tea, then do something unprecedented. Thank it. This is the gold you mix with honest observation. This is the acceptance you weaponize. The enemy is not the behavior. The enemy is the story that the behavior makes you irredeemable. Tomorrow, repeat. The day after, repeat. On the 7th repetition, document something you usually hide. Photograph the mess, journal the craving, voice memo the spiral. Collect the evidence. Do not judge it yet. Live with the raw truth for one full lunar cycle. Feel the danger of being witnessed by yourself. When the judging impulse finally comes, meet it with curiosity, not correction. Ask it, what were you protecting me from? Write its answer in margins, on napkins, in notes you won't delete. Fill every defense with understanding until the narrative is less about fixing and more about knowing. Rikyu died free. You will too. You will carry the documented pattern like evidence. You will walk into triggers, temptations, relapses holding the proof that you have already survived seeing yourself clearly. The scariest level of transformation is not waiting in a temple or a seminar. It is waiting in the next moment you choose understanding over hiding. Enter the tea room. The bowl is cracked. The gold is in your hand. Pour the light in. If this cracks something open in you, smash that like button until it glows. Drop your kintsugi story in the comments with golden seams. I read every repair. Subscribe. The next breaking is already teaching you.